motion to accept the minutes?
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
We'll now go to the zoning committee. Councilmember Dorn serves, chairs that committee. All members serve 1-8. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Harden. Before tonight's zoning agenda, I have a bit of some housekeeping to make things flow a little bit smoother here tonight. Will the clerk please read the names or the numbers of legislation and zoning committee this evening that require a waiver of second reading?
Ordinance 543, 544, 545, 567, 569, 570, 687, 688, 713, 714, 744, 746, 754, 755, and 756-2022.
Thank you, Clerk. I'm going to go ahead and move to waive second reading on those items listed now.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Items are waived.
Thank you. Now with that housekeeping out of the way, for tonight's zoning committee, allow me to briefly explain our current rules pertaining to speaking before council on zoning and variances. We will only hear a staff presentation for ordinances that have a disapproval from a recommending body, or if we have public speakers signed up to speak against an ordinance. I'm happy to report that all the ordinances tonight have received approvals from all recommending bodies, including city staff, development commission, and area commissions. We have 2 speakers signed up tonight, one which is against an ordinance, so we will require a staff presentation on that piece of legislation. Speakers on council variance, including city staff, area commissioners, applicants, and members of the public, will be sworn in before they give testimony. Representatives of an area commission and applicants are always able to speak on an ordinance and do not need to fill out a speaker slip. On the advice of the city attorney, I will now swear in city staff. Please stand and raise your right hand and be sworn in. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer the pains or penalties of perjury? If so, please say I do.
I do.
Thank you. Let the record show that Shannon Pine from the Department of Building and Zoning Services and Daniel Moorhead from the Department of Public Service has been sworn in. First, tonight, we have Council Variance 0543-2022 to grant a variance from provisions of Section 3332.035 R3 Residential District, 3332.05A4 area district lot requirements, and 3332.13 R3 area district requirements of the Oklahoma City Codes, the property located at 1101-1103 East 22nd Ave to permit a 2-unit dwelling with reduced development standards in the R3 residential district. The applicant is Healthy Linden Homes, care of Patrice Allen Brady. The proposed use is a 2-unit dwelling. City's department's recommendation is approval. South Linden Area Commission's recommendation is approval, and it was unanimous. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I first move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Accept it.
Thank you. Next, I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopt it.
And finally, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Next, we have Council Variance 0544-2022 to grant a variance from the provisions of Section 3332.035 R3 Residential District, 3332.05 A4 area lot with requirements, 3332.13 R3 area district requirements of the Columbus City Code, so property located at 1229-1231 East 22nd Avenue to permit a 2-unit dwelling with reduced development standards in the R3 Residential District. The applicant, again, is Healthy Linden Homes, care of Patrice Allen Brady. The proposed use is a 2-unit dwelling. City's department recommendation is approval. South Linden Area Commission recommendation is also approval and unanimous. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Accept it.
Next, I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopt it.
And finally, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Next, we have Council Variance 0545-2022 to grant a variance provisions of Section 3332.035 R3 Residential District, 3332.05A Area Lot Width Requirements, and 3332.13 R3 Area District Requirements of the Columbus City Codes for the property located at 1082-1084 East 18th Avenue to permit a two-unit dwelling with reduced development standards in the R3 Residential District. The applicant is Healthy Homes Linden, care of Patrice Allen Brady. The proposed use is a two-unit dwelling. The city's department recommendation is approval. And again, the South Linden Area Commission recommendation is also approval. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I first move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Accept it.
Thank you. I next move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopt it.
And finally, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Next, we have Council Variance 0567-2022 to grant a variance and provisions of Section 3332.035 R3 Residential District, 3312.49C maximum number of parking spots required, and 3332.13 R3 Area District requirements of the Columbus City Code for the property located at 1267-1269 East 21st Avenue to permit a two-unit dwelling with reduced development standards in the R3 Residential District. The applicant again is Healthy Linden Homes, care of Patrice Allen Brady. The proposed use is a two-unit dwelling. The city department's recommendation is approval. South Linden Area Commission's recommendation is also approval. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Accept it.
Thank you. Next, I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopt it.
And finally, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, we have Council Variance 0569-2022 to grant a variance and provisions of Section 3332.035 R3 Residential District, 3332.05A4 Area District Lot Width Requirements, and 3332.13 R3 Area District Requirements of the Columbus City Codes, the property located at 1105-1107 East 21st Avenue to permit a two-unit dwelling with reduced development standards in the R3 Residential District. And the applicant is Healthy Linden Homes, care of Patrice Allen Brady. Proposed use is a two-unit dwelling. City Department recommendation is approval. The South Linden Area Commission recommendation is also approval. We did have one speaker sign up to speak in favor of this ordinance, Mr. Richard Crockett. Is Mr. Richard Crockett in council chambers tonight? Let the record reflect, I do not believe that Mr. Crockett is present at this time. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Accept it.
Next, I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopt it.
And next, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, we have Council Variance 0570-2022 to grant a variance provisions of Section 3332.035 R3 Residential District, 33312.27 Parking Setback Line, 33321.05B1 Vision Clearance, 33332.005A4 Area District Lot Width Requirements, 3332.13 R3 Area District Requirements, and 3332.22A1 Building Lines on Corner Lots, exceptions of the Columbus City Code for property located at 1103-1105 East 20th Avenue to permit a two-unit dwelling with reduced development standards in the R3 Residential District. The applicant is Healthy Linden Homes, care of Patrice Allen Brady. The proposed use is a two-unit dwelling. City Department's recommendation is approval. South Linden Area Commission recommendation is also approval. Do my colleagues have questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Accept it.
Next, I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopted.
Finally, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Next, we have Council Variance 0687-2022 to grant a variance provisions of Section 3332.035 R3 Residential District, 3332.05A4 area lot width requirements, and 3332.13 R3 area district requirements of the Oklahoma City Code. So the property located 1103-1105 East 18th Avenue to permit a 2-unit dwelling with reduced development standards in the R3 Residential District. The applicant is Healthy Linden Homes Care of Patrice Allen Brady. The proposed use is a 2-unit dwelling. City's Department recommendation is approval. South Linden Area Commission recommendation is approval. Do any of my colleagues have questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Next, I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopted.
And finally, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, we have Council Variance 0688-2022 to grant a variance in provisions of Section 3332.035 R3 Residential District, 3332.05A4 area district lot width requirements, and 3332.13 R3 area district requirements of the Oklahoma City Codes. The property located at 1013 1015 East 16th Avenue to permit a 2-unit dwelling with reduced development standards in the R3 Residential District. The applicant is Healthy Linden Homes, care of Patrice Allen Brady. Proposed use is a 2-unit dwelling. City's Department's recommendation is approval. South Linden Area Commission's recommendation is also approval. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Councilmember Favor?
Thank you, Councilmember Dorans. I wanted to at least take a moment to acknowledge the 8 pieces of legislation that have gone through council in the zoning hearing tonight, and Mr. Nate Wilkins, who is a consistent community advocate for the Linden community. All of these homes, which I believe most of them are will be 2-unit dwellings, fall under the Healthy Linden arm, and that includes affordability component. So, I think that we have to continue to uplift our residents that take time out of their day to come to council to advocate on behalf of issues that are important to them, that being development and the revitalization of Linden for Mr. Wilkins. And he spoke earlier today, so just wanted to give a quick acknowledgement of that, and to also just uplift some new housing that's coming to the Linden community.
Councilmember Bankston.
Thank you, Councilmember Dorans and Councilmember Favor. I just wanted to echo what Councilmember Favor said, but also just to point out, again, this is another effort in us as a city advancing the One Linden community plan. We talk about these plans often. We talk about them sitting on the shelves, but actively, there are partners coming to the table to advance the work in Linden, and particularly this one advancing one of the pillars, which is to expand housing, affordable housing at that. And so excited about this being affordable, adding density to our city, and so also wanted to make sure I recognize and commend Nationwide Children's Healthy Homes Initiative for really stepping up and being a pioneer in the Linden community and being a partner with us in this endeavor. So thank you for your leadership, Councilmember Dorans.
Thank you, Councilmember Bankston. In favor. It's helpful to pause as we move through some of these things from time to time and talk about the context in which they are getting before us in the zoning committee. And I appreciate both of you putting that into some context, because you read all those numbers and sometimes it doesn't make a lot of sense. But at the end of the day, to Councilmember Bankston's point, we're adding affordable density in an area of the city that we know needs it. And I think that's important for us to pause and recognize, even with everything else that we do within this committee. So thank you both. With that, I'd like to move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Accepted.
Next, I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please. No, perfect. Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Yeah.
And finally, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, we have rezoning 0713-2022 to rezone 222 West Lane Avenue for being 2.69 plus acres located on the north side of West Lane Avenue, 85 plus feet west of West Neal Avenue from R3 apartment residential to AR4 apartment residential and CPD commercial planning districts to CPD commercial planning districts. The applicant is LV Development LLC, care of Dave Perry, agent. The proposed use is a mixed-use development. City's department recommendation is approval. The Development Commission's recommendation is approval. University Area Commission's recommendation is approval, 11-1. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I first move to amend as submitted to the clerk.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Amended.
And next, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Amended.
Thank you. Next, we have Council Variance 0714-2022 to grant a variance from the provisions of Section 3356.03 C4 permitted uses and 3356.05 F CF district development limitations of the Oklahoma City Codes. The property located at 222 West Lane Avenue to permit a mixed-use development with reduced development standards in the CPD Commercial Planned Development District. The applicant is LV Development LLC, care of Dave Perry, agent. The proposed use is a mixed-use development. City's department recommendation is approval. University Area Commission's recommendation is approval, 11-1. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Accept it.
Next, I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopt it.
And finally, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, we have Council Variance 0744-2022 to grant a variance from the provisions of Section 3332.035 R3 Residential District, 3332.05 A4 Area District Lot Width Requirements, and 3332.13 R3 Area District Requirements of the Oklahoma City Codes for the property located at 1283-1285 East 24th Avenue to permit a two-unit dwelling with reduced development standards in the R3 Residential District. The applicant is Healthy Linden Homes, care of Patrice Allen Brady. The proposed use is a two-unit dwelling. City Department recommendation is approval. South Linden Area Commission's recommendation is also approval. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Accept it.
Next, I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopt it.
And next, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, we have Council Variance 0746-2022 to grant a variance of provisions of Section 3332.035 R3 Residential District, 3332.05 A4 Area District Lot Width Requirements, and 3332.13 R3 Area District Requirements of the Oklahoma City Codes, the property located at 1237-1239 East 20th Avenue to permit a two-unit dwelling with reduced development standards in the R3 Residential District. The applicant is Healthy Linden Homes, care of Patrice Allen Brady. Proposed use is a two-unit dwelling. City Department recommendation is approval. South Linden Area Commission recommendation is also approval. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Accept it.
Next, I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopt it.
And finally, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Pass.
Next, we have Council Variance 0754-2022 to grant a variance provisions of Section 3356.03 C4 permitted uses of the property located at 17677 Linden Place to a conforming existing single-unit dwelling to the C4 Commercial District. The applicant is Richard Brown Jr., care of Brian Ferris, agent. Proposed use is a single-unit dwelling. The City Department recommendation is approval. The North Linden Area Commission recommendation is also approval unanimously. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Accepted.
Next, I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopted.
And finally, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Next, we have Council Variance 0755-2022 to grant a variance from the provisions of Section 333.02, AR12, ARLD, and AR1 Apartment Residential District Use, 3312.49C, minimum number of parking spaces required, 333.16, fronting, 333.18B, building lines, 333.22, maximum side yard required, 3333.23, minimum side yard permitted, 3333.24, rear yard, and 3333.25, side or rear yard obstruction of the Columbus City Code to property located at 1945-1947 West Broad Street to permit a mixed-use development with reduced development standards in the AR Apartment District, Residential District. The applicant is Revest Realty, LLC, with Felicia Lyons, care of Felicia Lyons. The proposed use is a mixed-use development. City's Department recommendations approval. The greater area, the Greater Hilltop Area Commission recommendation is approval, 13-0. We do have one speaker signed up this evening to speak against this application. So at this time, I would ask for a staff presentation.
Good evening. The site consists of one parcel developed with a commercial building, a 2-unit dwelling, and a single-unit dwelling, all unoccupied in the AR1 Apartment Residential District. The council variance will permit the commercial building to be converted to a 600-square-foot eating and drinking establishment with 720 square feet of outdoor dining space and retains the 2 dwelling units. Variances for reduced parking from 19 to 8 spaces, and to conform the existing conditions, such as no frontage for the single-unit dwelling, reduced building line, reduced side yard and rear yards, are all included in the request. The site is within the planning boundaries of the Hilltop Land Use Plan, which recommends mixed-use 3 uses, which are classified as commercial with high-density residential uses at this location, and includes adoption of the Columbus Citywide Planning Policies Design Guidelines. The proposal is consistent with the land use recommendation of the Hilltop Land Use Plan, and staff notes the inclusion of bicycle parking beyond what is required by code to help offset the requested parking reduction as recommended by the C2P2 design guidelines. Staff also notes the preservation of existing mature trees and retaining of an existing contributing building, which further align with C2P2 design guidelines. Therefore, the City Department's recommendation is for approval, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pine. Do my colleagues have any questions for Ms. Pine? Seeing none, I would like to call the speaker that we had signed up to speak against this council variance, Ms. Jenny Robeson. Ms. Robeson? Thank you, Ms. Robeson. I'm going to swear you in here real quick before your comments, okay? Please beat me to it, so thank you. Thanks.
I've been sworn in before.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer under the pains or penalties of perjury? If so, please say I do.
I do.
Ms. Robeson, the floor is yours.
Great, thank you. I am the owner of several residential properties that are within 100 feet of 1945, 1947 West Broad Street, and I oppose the 8 zoning variances proposed tonight. These variances will allow the property to be extremely overused with no regard for the area around it. This property is only zoned for residential, and the AR1 ordinance is only residential apartments, not mixed uses. There is no other mixed-use development in the area, and I do not see a request for a zoning variance this evening. The lot is 10,454 square feet, almost half of the required 20,000 square feet for an AR1 provision. It is already built with 0 setbacks at the front, the back, and west side. There is no on-street parking available for this property at all. There is no room for a trash dumpster, there is no room for a delivery truck or trash truck or construction vehicles to turn and enter the property from the alley. A 3-unit property requires 6 spaces, and then with the 13 that have been requested, a 684 square foot restaurant, that's how much the auditor has it at, is 684. It requires 9 more, so 15 spaces is what I calculated. And what reduced standard of parking should a neighborhood be forced to accept? I am just asking that the zoning rules be applied and that if 8 zoning variances are needed to cram pack a property already close to bursting at the seams, then perhaps this is not the best use of this property. And if the development wants to move forward with this many reduced development standards, then why have standards at all? Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you, Ms. Robson. Do any of my colleagues have any questions for Ms. Robson? Councilmember Favor?
Goodness. Thank you for your testimony this evening. Did you have an opportunity to engage with the Greater Hilltop Area Commission?
No, I was never notified of the Greater Hilltop Area Commission having this before it at all.
Okay.
And I own every property that abuts this across from the alley. I own 4 right in a row that are all directly right behind it in the alley.
Okay. And your contention is really just the sheer amount of variances that are before the council, or it's the proposed development itself?
It's the proposed development itself.
Okay.
It's cram packing so much onto a property that's already got so much on it. If they're going to reuse the 3 units as residential, there's absolutely no room for parking. There's no room for parking. I mean, there would be absolutely no yard. And it's at 0 setback, 0 setback, 0 setback. So there's no room to go anywhere there. And there's just a little sliver here. That's it.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Robson.
Okay.
Do any of my other colleagues have any questions? Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, sorry.
No, I would just say, just a comment, Chair Dorns, that, you know, when we see projects like this that have this many variances, right, I think it's a nod to our outdated code that we are looking to overhaul. And when we talk about density and how we are really building a city for tomorrow, right, and that expected growth, this is the type of pain points that we see every day before us in this council. So I just wanted to make sure we painted that picture clear that, you know, there are new guidelines, C2, P2, and other things that are coming. But I think overall, when you think about this corridor, this project would be, you know, in compatibility with where we were going as a city. So the 8 variances feels like a lot, but I think, again, is a nod to our outdated zoning code and where we are as a city.
Thank you, Councilmember Banks, and I think it's also important to note this property is very old. So when we talk about some of the setbacks, I mean, this has existed for many decades and has been vacant for many decades. And I, think that is important when we talk about the incompatibility of the current code as applied to a property of this age, and how it could be adapted to use today because it has sat vacant for so long. Would the applicants or the representative like to speak to the request for the variances? Ms. Lyons? Thank you, Ms. Lyons. I will swear you in before your comments. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer the pains or penalties of perjury? If so, please say I do.
I do.
Ms. Lyons, the floor is yours.
Yes, as has already been stated, the age of the property really prohibits or it actually dictates how many variances is needed as far as the setbacks and things like that. It's been a property that's been in disrepair for, like Representative Dorns has said, for many, many years. We have gone through every avenue that we needed to go through the city with architects, structural engineers. We have taken this property through and made sure that we were covering all of our bases and ensuring that we were being mindful of the area, but also of the history of the building. And so I really would love for the committee to accept the variance as it is. I think that this property, as it is being proposed, will bring value to the area. There's a lot of history with this building as far as the storefront is concerned, the front building on Broad Street. It has, my understanding is, historically been used as a storefront, mixed use, so it would not be something that's varied from what has been done in the past. And like I said, it has been, the property and the plan is in line with the mixed use envision plan for the greater Hilltop area.
Thank you, Ms. Lyons. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments for Ms. Lyons? Just one question. So this variance was supported by the Greater Hilltop Area Commission. I just wanted to know, was there a discussion about parking specifically at the Hilltop Area Commission?
There was nothing specific. There was an acknowledgement that the parking spaces would be reduced from the number that is per code. All of the parking will be contained within the property lines itself, essentially changing the backyard into a parking lot.
And per the staff report, you're complying with C2P2 to provide additional bike parking on the property, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments?
Just a comment.
President Harden?
I just think it's also important to Councilmember Bankston's point, and I think to Councilmember Doran's point specifically when we're talking in regards to the parking, that this property is on a high capacity like transit corridor. Like if being on Broad Street and on a bus line and thinking in the future about other transit investments, I think these are the types generally of mixed use projects that we would like to see that hopefully will, to your point, bring value not just to this property but to properties around. And so just thinking about the parking variances needed, understanding physically where this is located and the type of transit line it's on is something that I'm taking into consideration with my vote.
Any other council members? Thank you, Ms. Lyons.
Thank you.
Well, I appreciate Ms. Robeson being here this evening and articulating her concerns specifically around this project. I do think that the number of variances that have been requested here are specific to the age of the property, specifically where it's located based upon, again, being on Broad Street, the age certainly of the property itself. I think that there's been key things that have been done, including complying with C2P2, and again, being on transit lines currently. I think this is a project that should move forward, again, based upon, again, a unanimous decision as well from the Greater Hilltop Area Commission supporting this project. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments before we move forward? Seeing none, I first move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Accept it.
Next, I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopt it.
And finally, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. And finally, the last piece of legislation, zoning committee, is rezoning 0756-2022 to rezone 3130 East Livingston Avenue, being 0.45 plus acres located on the northeast corner of East Livingston Avenue and Elizabeth Avenue from ARO Apartment Office District and AR2F Residential District to LC4 Limited Commercial District. The applicant is Reda Togi, care of Janine Carbel. The proposed use is a limited commercial development. The city's recommendation is approval. Development Commission's recommendation is approval. Mid-East Area Commission recommendation is approval, unanimous. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. And with that, that concludes this evening's zoning committee agenda. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Seeing no further business, can I get a motion to adjourn? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Meeting is adjourned. We'll reconvene meeting number 13. 5 minutes.